Well, when you're in the real estate game, you start networking with lots of individuals. And one of the things I often find is the wealthy, they just act different. They have different traits. They have just this different aura and vibe about them than even the rich or the people getting started. So I want to have this kind of odd conversation with Jonathan Twomley, who plays at a level I could only dream about, interacts with individuals 10x where I interact with folks, and just ask him, does he notice a difference with the wealthy contacts, network, friends, investors versus everybody else? Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Michael. Always good to be here.
Yeah.
Well, is that the question, or
Yeah,
you're
go.
going to
I mean, yeah.
rephrase?
I mean,
Yeah,
you've been in, so you're a Harvard grad, right?
yeah.
You are an attorney. You've networked with wealthy individuals. You now are a syndicator. You've done extremely well. Um, I'm just curious, right? When you interact with somebody that we'll term wealthy, not rich, wealthy, like
Mm.
they're covered, their kids are covered, right? That kind of wealthy. Do you
So,
notice kind of a difference?
well, yeah. I mean, but and it also depends on like. There's another thing too. Like, did they make the money themselves, or did they inherit
Ooh,
it? Right,
all right.
because there's also differences there. But
I
let's
like it.
start. Let's
Okay.
start with people who made the money themselves. Right.
Fair. Okay.
What I've noticed about those folks, friends I have or people that I know who have become extremely successful, they are very focused on
Hmm.
whatever they're doing. And that doesn't mean that they work all the time. It means that whatever they're doing, they're focused on. So if they're having fun, they're very focused on having fun, right?
Hmm.
They're not like on their phone. Oh, I got to check this email. Oh, let me take this call. Like, it's like, this is my time. Nobody's
Okay.
bothering me. And
Yeah.
that may be because they also at that point have one of the things that they've done is they know how to leverage other people. So there are
Hmm.
other people who are dealing with those things for them. And it's only in some like really true emergency that they have to deal with it. But what I've seen is that they're very focused. So, and
Okay.
then work wise too, they're very, very focused on what is the highest leverage activity that I should be focused on right now. And they're not in the weeds on minutia about like day-to-day junk. There are people for that. They are
There are
focused.
people for that. I like it.
No, but I mean, honestly, and
Yeah,
I
I
don't mean
get it.
it's like, oh, I have a nanny to take my kids to school, although that's probably true.
Hmm.
And listen, I know people who is like, they have a chef, they have a driver, they have, and so their whole day
Hmm.
is structured around doing things that either they need to be doing or they want to be doing, right? And so they would only be cooking if like they're getting joy out of cooking. But if cooking is like something that is not bringing them joy, or they have a better way to spend their time, which is with their family or with their friends who've come over, or whatever it is, or working, or whatever it is that they need to spend the time on, well, they're spending the time on the thing that's the most important, right?
Right.
And what I see about the rest of us is that we spend a lot of our time on things that really aren't driving the needle forward, or we're
Hmm.
playing catch up on stuff, or we're just trying to like keep all the fires out, right? Because that's kind of
Yeah.
how how life is, right? So
Sure.
that's probably the biggest difference that I see. Like, I don't with my like very wealthy friends, I never get long emails from them. I will write like a long email. I will write a long email to them explaining all this stuff that I feel like I need to explain to them, and I'll get like a one-line response, right? Always, never more.
Always, yeah, I agree.
Always, yeah,
Always, yeah, yeah, yeah. One of the questions I want to ask about, again, the wealthy that made it themselves. There's a lot of kind of talk about having 7 streams of income, and get a side hustle and do all of these other things. But the wealthy people that I know, they were not. They had one thing. They were
yeah,
focused on one thing where they made 99% of their money,
yeah.
and now
And you
maybe they're
can't.
diversified, but not in the beginning.
Yes, that exactly. They're focused on one thing, and
Yes,
again,
one thing.
it's focus, right? And you can't get them off that one thing that they're focused on, right? they're not like, and I'll have to say, a lot of these people also they're not entrepreneurs. Like the people who become really wealthy. I mean, the people I know who are like really, really wealthy were on Wall Street. Man, maybe that's just
Okay.
because I'm here in New York,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
it's just, so that's maybe
Probably
skewed, but
skewed.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they're not like jumping around to the next opportunity. Now, I do know that a lot of people, or some of them anyway, when they hit
Yep.
some certain level of wealth and they have a lot of extra wealth, then they may start looking around for like, hey, I'll do some venture
Yeah.
capital and some angel investing. I'll do that kind
Yes.
of stuff. But still, this is like some minor little piece of their time that they're just doing on the side. And they're not letting it distract them from the main focus.
Yeah.
Like they know which side of the bread the butter is on, right? Like they're not constantly jumping after like the next opportunity or like the hot thing
Yeah.
or whatever it is. Like they're
It's very similar to me, right? You're in New York, so probably skewed Wall Street. I'm in
yeah,
Silicon Valley, obviously skewed tech. I know several people that are worth high 8 figures and a couple 9 figure folks, and they all had liquidity events,
yeah,
whether those were IPOs or acquisitions or sometimes both. Um, they were very skewed. They were not a balanced individual,
yeah,
right? They were 90 hours, 100 hours a week, one thing, it was go. And I know some people that did that and they busted out, right? It didn't work out.
sure.
But sometimes, you go that way. And now many of them, they are kind of like they're, I guess, angel investing, early investors is
Mhm.
what they find their time now. Um, I haven't seen, I just want to make sure this is true. Like once they hit their liquidity event, let's say it's 50 million and above, none of them have gone back for round two, right? Some
Mhm.
folks, we hear about like, oh, they're always entrepreneurs. No, these individuals all got their home run, and
Yeah.
now they're just, you know,
Yeah.
different speed.
The folks that I know, well, for the most part, I know a couple of entrepreneurs who like had their big liquidity event and then went and uh, looked for the next thing to do, because I think that they wanted something to do. But I also know people who, and they're not doing like the Jim Altucher thing where they went and they blew it all on thinking they were a VC, right? I mean,
Right.
they've 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 taken care of themselves and their family,
Yeah,
and they're
it's a
taking like some,
couple of percentage points. Yeah,
right, they're taking some small amount of the money they made to invest in some new venture because they want to build something, or they want, but they don't need to, they don't have the same hunger. Like you can tell they don't have
yeah.
now.
The hunger is gone. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like Mike
now,
Tyson, right? Yeah, it's like when the
yeah,
hunger's gone, it's just you're a different
yeah.
animal.
Now they're just they want to do something good or something interesting, but they're not
Yeah,
like, they don't need to make the 100 million because they've already got the 100 million, right?
exactly,
But
exactly.
I also know people who had the big liquidity event, and they've just spent the rest of their time managing their own money
Yeah,
and serving on boards, and
family
they're like,
offices and all of
yeah, and
that.
they're
Yeah,
very involved in like their children's schools, but they're like, but not like the PTA. It's more like, the board of
yeah,
directors of the children's
yeah.
school kind of thing. But that's the way that I see them spending their time. Very rarely are they just jumping right back in
Yeah. So
to,
focus, unbalanced. They get to it. Yeah. So I think we see very similar things. That's interesting. I do want to kind of go back to the earlier branch
oh
and
yeah,
talk about the people that inherited money. I don't have a lot of experience with that. In fact, I can't think of anybody that is in my network who got more than, a couple hundred grand from mom or dad
yeah,
along the way. But what do you see there? What are those people like?
yeah.
I don't
So
have much experience.
that is a very different kind of person altogether, because those people, in my experience, well, first of all, they have a kind of confidence that only comes from never having had to worry about money ever
I
in your
like it.
entire
Yeah.
life, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I got
it's
it.
just a different world, right?
Oh, it is.
They
Yeah.
have never experienced a family conversation in which somebody said to them, "We can't afford that," right?
Right. Yeah.
Whatever it was, whether it was, summer camp or like the third Jaguar, right? Like
Yeah.
that conversation has never ever occurred to them.
Hmm.
They've never experienced it, right? So there's good and bad there. On the one hand, like there's this kind of confidence that they have that like everything is going to always go their way. There's also sometimes they could be very like insensitive to the fact that this is not normal, right?
Yeah. Real world problems. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
can.
no, I mean, honestly, like they just have never experienced, and oftentimes they live in bubbles where everybody else, all their friends are also like that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so they really don't have any kind of like real experience with any kind of, not even privation, just let alone like not being able to do whatever they want whenever they want to, right? So they can be a little insensitive sometimes, or just not get it that this is that, some people, I mean, I've met, like, I'll tell you, like the Rockefellers and the people of that ilk that I've
Yep.
met, which is really old money, those
Right.
people tend to get it. Like those people have tended to be some of like the most gracious and kind of like
Grounded.
sensitive people that I've met, because I think that they've been taught from a young age that this is not normal, and you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to
You won the lottery, buddy. Yeah.
you have to be grateful for this, right?
Mhm.
But I think a lot of, like, say, second generation wealthy people, they're all like, they've been raised with the, like, I created this myself and I'm special and you're special because you're my child, and like everyone else is a fool and they're all slackers, right? So
Right.
those people are kind of insufferable because they think that like
Yeah.
they're somehow entitled because their dad made a lot of money, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's, those people are kind of difficult to be around.
Yeah.
But there is a kind of this, like I said, there's a confidence about, you know, just never having had to worry about this conversation. Now, when it comes to money,
Yeah.
what I've seen is that, generally speaking, those kind of generational wealth people, they are pretty cautious with money. I found it
Hmm.
a lot hard. Like
Okay.
you would think it would be, you go to somebody who's worth $100 million and say, um, invest $1 million with me.
Right.
You'd think, oh, that's a slam dunk. Not at all. Those people are very, very, like, very, very.
Yeah. They don't need the big home run, right? They want certainty.
Exactly. Exactly. They're much more concerned about capital preservation than they are about making money. And they're
Interesting.
also, so they're really concerned about who you are, what this deal is, how they know you, how you found them, like, can you be trusted? And their attitude is really like, I'm going to say no unless you,
Yeah. The
like,
default is no.
the
Yes. Yeah.
default is no, and you have to basically remove every possible reason for me to say no, for me to say yes, and
Interesting.
which is hard because
Yeah.
it's got to be really compelling. Whereas, people who, it's a lot, frankly, easier to raise money from people who aren't brought up
Yeah.
in that kind of,
Yeah. They're still
haven't
chasing
made it.
the
Yeah, still
yeah.
chasing the dream, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Chasing the dream. It's here's this is a part of your lottery ticket, or this is one of the legs of the stool. Yeah, it's interesting. Kind of
Yeah.
rounding this out, and again, I like the branch. How about risk? And we talked a little bit about that in this topic, but um, do they see risk? You know,
Well, I do.
do
I
they
think
see risk the same way?
I think they're more risk averse because
Ooh,
they've got something to protect, right?
okay.
Like we said before, they're not on the make, right?
Right. Yeah.
They're Once they've made it, then it's, well, how do I keep it, right?
Got
As
it.
opposed to how do I make more, which is why I think you see a lot of those people who are not like jumping into the next venture unless they're, like an addicted entrepreneur type person, right?
Right.
But like addicted to the thrill of building and selling again,
Yeah.
right? Or I want to prove I can do it bigger or whatever. But
Yeah.
there's,
Ego driven. Yeah.
yeah, but the people who have like, are sort of more healthy about it, who are like, wow, this is great. It could have easily gone a different way. I made my money. I cashed out. Like, I made it. I'm good. Like, those
Right.
people are very cautious with their money because,
Okay.
yeah, they,
Very, very cool. Well, this is always a fun conversation. I just love to, kind of throw these curveballs at you on occasion. You did really, really well. Thank you for that. Jonathan, if somebody wanted to be in your
glad I
network, how
passed
would
the
they do it?
test. Glad
Yes,
I
you
passed the
did.
test.
Yay. It's pass fail. You passed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, please come join my Facebook group and feel free to pick my brain. No, I mean, and actually, so the pick my brain conversation, I can't tell you how many times people reach out to me cold and say, can I pick your brain? Can I take you out to coffee and pick your brain? And the answer is like, No, because I don't have time
No,
to go
that's what Facebook groups for.
to
Yes.
coffee with you if I don't know who you are. However, come to Facebook, pick
Yeah.
my brain all you want, and we may even become friends there. And then absolutely we
And
can go and
maybe.
have coffee.
Yeah.
Yes. Then, when you're in New York City, we can go have coffee. But that's the best way to do it, right? I mean, that's what the group is for. It's for your benefit, for you to learn for free. Ask any question you want to, get started there. That's, so please
Yeah.
come by and ask me all the questions you want.
Yeah. So do me a favor, folks, go there today. Let them know you came from One Rental at a Time. I always like to see that this family, One Rental at a Time, is showing love to people who come back weekly and help all of us get just a little bit better. Jonathan, thank you so much.
Absolutely.